Nipsey, we love you. You were more than your music. We know that you were extremely passionate about your music, but beyond that, you were passionate about your family. You were passionate about your community. You were passionate about bettering of the Black community. You were passionate about children. Your passion showed through, whether you ever doubted it, whether you ever wondered, whether you ever had sleepless nights or, hard days. If you ever wondered if you made a difference, you did. You have the entire world on fire right now. Your legacy, it's going to live on. It's going to live on.
I would love, for my legacy, and I would work toward and strive toward my legacy being something that inspires people, and that, because we all temporary on this world. We gonna come and we gonna live and we gonna go. But when it's all said and done, it would be my dream come true to leave a legacy that people can look at my life and be motivated and be inspired to innovate and change the game and do things their way and be a trendsetter and basically believe in themselves and live a full life. But to get to that point, I got a lot of work to do. I got a lot of things that I had to say and moves that I had to make. But that's the goal at the end of the day. It's bigger than money. It's not all about material gain. Even though I'll be a liar to say that's not a part of my motivation. Right. But the bottom line is I got a passion for this music, and I got a passion for being a real person and living life. So I would like the legacy that I leave to inspire others to be their true self and do what they feel in their heart and remove fear from their element and remove doubt from their element and really step into what life can be when you really reach your core and get an understanding of yourself. And I'm not fully there yet, but I done had a taste of it, and that's the direction I would love to go in, and I would want my legacy to inspire other people to go in.
Oh man, it's just been a sad week, not only for hip hop, but it's been a sad week for the world. The world lost a very, very special person, and I was thinking we could just kind of dedicate this whole podcast to Nipsey Hussle. What y'all think, ladies?
I agree. I definitely agree. Like I was saying earlier, back in the day, anytime anything tragic like this would happen, when we lost Tupac, when we lost Biggie, when we lost, anybody influential in the hip hop community, we would kind of shut things down. There would be no 106 in Park. There would be no TRL. Like all the news entertainment stations would kind of stop and just stream that information all day long. And that was definitely my intent tonight. I know I typically bring you guys Curls Love and Life. I always have my Curls news. I'm giving you guys updates in the Curl community. But this week, in honor of Nipsey, just in honor of my own story, I just think it's important that we kind of shut that down and kind of, focus on this. So I'm definitely for that idea.
Absolutely. I totally agree. And I'm glad you brought up Tupac and Biggie, because I was having a discussion yesterday, because we communicate, so we know a lot of times, a lot of people this past week couldn't even sleep. When we found out Nipsey was died, like it just shut, like you said, it shut everything down. We don't have BET and TRL no more, but it shut the internet down. It shut people's lives down. Like I was up to like 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning. I couldn't even sleep. That's how heavy it was on my mind. And this loss, and this loss to me, it's a little different from Pac and Biggie, because we're old enough to remember when Pac and Biggie was killed. But for some reason, this was a little. Do you agree that this one? Do y'all agree this was kind of felt a little bit more heavier than Pac and Biggie?
It feels different. It feels completely different, and I don't know if it's an age thing. I don't know if I'm older. I definitely felt like Tupac was very influential in his community. Not to say that Biggie wasn't, but just kind of on this level with the outreach. I feel like Tupac was, kind of same level as Nipsey, but it's something different. It's something totally different in the air with this. This totally threw that matrix off.
Yeah. And I think like when Pac was shot and killed, a lot of people, I remember I was in Atlanta at the time, a lot of people thought Pac was going to survive because he'd been shot before, and it was like, you can't stop this dude. And even though Pac was political, and he had a lot of good ideas for the black community, Pac was wilding out. So I think people kind of like, you know, when he got shot, they like, well, Pac keep fighting all the time and he doing all this. But with Nipsey, it was totally different. And maybe because it's the age, Nipsey was 33, Pac was 25, they were different stages in their life. But this one really hit home to us.
Right. And we were also in the midst of the East Coast versus West Coast when, you know, all that happened between Tupac and Biggie. Whereas Nipsey, there's no rivalry here. You know what I mean? That's one of the biggest things that are highlighted. I mean, not even to say that his gang, you know, his relationships within the gang were even highlighted this week. I've heard more about him as a man and all his other, you know, quests and journeys in life than anything dealing with gang affiliation. But when you think of his gang affiliation, you think of how, although he was a Crip, he had strong partnerships with Bloods as well. So I think this is partly why it hits a little different, because it wasn't any drama or any mess behind him that was out in the public. Whereas Tupac, we knew it was the height of the East Coast versus West Coast, so we kind of know that, you know, their death stirred around that. Whereas this is just like, what drama? Like, this was unnecessary. Right. So like we were saying earlier, when we first started the podcast, we want to dedicate this whole episode to our brother Nipsey Hussle. We do have exclusive Nipsey Hussle audio and conversations exclusively for the Let's Be Clear podcast, never heard before, that we're going to bring to the podcast a little later in the podcast. But it's definitely a sad note. It's crazy, Antoinette and Tab, because the day Nipsey was shot, I was listening to Malcolm X speeches all day, and it was crazy. Like, as soon as morning time, I said I want to listen to some Malcolm X speeches, and for about 2 or 3 hours straight, I was listening to Malcolm X speeches. I've been reading his autobiographies and doing this for a long time, since I was a kid. But and not trying to say that Nipsey Hussle was Malcolm X, but I think Malcolm X would have been proud of Nipsey Hussle. You know, what the brother was doing in the community was amazing. I agree.
And I think, and his name was Neighborhood Nip Hussle. That's what I call him. I go back and listen to Nipsey's from 2008, 2009. I was one of those people that put everybody up on Nipsey who didn't know who he was. So I go way back with the brother, and what he was doing in the community, rappers not even doing it. I can't even think of any other rappers that's doing it like he was doing it, besides maybe Rick Ross. Rick Ross kind of doing some of those things, like with the Wingstop and the rallies. Rick Ross bought Holyfield Old Crib or Old National in College Park. I mean, Rick Ross bought a house in the hood. It's a mansion, but it's still in the hood. So Rick Ross is kind of doing some of those things. But I think the same thing that made Nipsey Hussle the realest dude in the game is the same thing that I don't want to say got him killed, or the same thing that, you know, made him vulnerable. The same thing that made him vulnerable to what happened to him. And that's just being a neighborhood dude and saying, I'm going to keep it real and stay in my hood. My hood need me. I'm not going to leave my hood. And it made them vulnerable.
I agree. And that's something, you know, I always talk about. The Breakfast Club and Charlamagne the God, DJ Envy, Angela Yee, I really, you know, look up to them as influencers. And that's something that they discuss too. Like, you know, what's the answer? Do we rise up and do we leave the hood, or do we stay and help out? Because like you said, it's kind of like what hurt him a little bit.
Yeah, so what, something that I just recently, I'm a fan of Van Lathan, also his podcast, The Red Pill. And you guys probably know him from TMZ. He's the one who stood up to Kanye West. Yeah, so he recently, on his recent episode, he also, I believe, dedicated his podcast to Nipsey Hussle as well. But he also stated that from here on out, he will no longer support violence in any way, shape, or form. And to that matter, he's saying that he's no longer going to support anything that has to do with guns, any music that has to do with violence, anything that is in relation to killing of people in our community and or against our community, or anything negative, he will no longer support. So I thought that was kind of a great initiative or a thought that people can probably put in their heads, that maybe if we band together as a community and finally say, no, we're not going to support the music that has this kind of negative station to it, or these negative influences that they have, that maybe it will kind of help and push things into a more positive direction.
I agree. I think it would be extremely tough. It's so random and so off topic, but it's almost like we know eating healthier and eating better is what we need to do, but we still don't, type of a thing. I think it needs to be something that drastic. I think this has hit everybody so differently that it almost might be the catalyst that we need to be like, okay, we've tried everything else. Still supporting it has not helped us. Let's go that route. But I definitely agree. I definitely feel like this is kind of jolted us enough to where, like I said, hell, we've tried everything else. Nothing else has worked. Maybe we band together and decide to really, go against anything that promotes gun violence or, violence in our neighborhoods and in our communities. If we truly, truly, truly go against it, maybe that's what'll get it to stop.
Yes, Tabitha, I agree. And Tanette, I'm so glad you brought up that point. Did you ladies, y'all know I'm on my spiritual journey or whatever, and I'm bringing that up to say, I listened to Nipsey Hussle all week since he passed away. I've been listening to all his old mixtapes, but this is the first time I listened to hip hop like all year because of what you just said, Antoinette. The violence in it, the degrading women, just all the negativity that it brings. I think we talked about this on the last podcast episode. So I just wanted to take that out of my life. I wanted to completely say, I love hip-hop. I mean, hip-hop been feeding my family for years, but I just didn't want the negativity in my spirit. So I agree with what the brother's saying. Like, maybe that could do it, but like Tab said, too, it's going to be like trying to save money or eat healthy. It's going to be one of those deals for people.
I think something interesting I've seen on Instagram earlier, there's like a hashtag Nipsey challenge going around. Really? I saw it posted by, I think it's Paisley's Tasties, where it's actually fasting. I think it's from like the 7th until the 17th. Don't quote me on the date. But it's basically just consuming fruits, vegetables, waters, teas, herbs, like all organic things to kind of cleanse our mind, cleanse our bodies. And I think that, honestly, it's something I strongly considered. You guys know we've talked about this before. I am struggling with eating better, even though I know I need to, and, putting more time into what I put into my body and not as much as what I put on my hair. But I think that would be a great catalyst for me to not only, cleanse my body, but to also cleanse my mind. And I kind of feel there's a connection to sometimes when you're fasting and wanting to go on that spiritual journey and kind of hear God differently. It's important to fast, and I just think that is like a great connection and a great time to do it and associate it, to Nipsey and to what happened.
That's another great idea. Both ladies, y'all both came up with good ideas, and I'm glad you brought up the eating healthy part because I do have a chip on my shoulder that I want to address really quick, because when everyone thought the government killed Nipsey over the documentary with the Dr. Sebi documentary, black people, my people, our people was upset. We were upset. We came together, we united, and it was like, okay, you're not going to kill this brother for this documentary. We're going to get this documentary out. I made a statement on Instagram. I say, listen, we should all do a documentary on the doctor. We should all do book reports, blogs, articles, podcast shows, everybody, because they can't kill everybody. We got to get this information out. The problem that I have is the moment we found out that this was a black gay member that Nipsey knew, that unity seemed like it just disappeared. That united energy that we all had together seemed like it just totally disappeared. As soon as it's a black on black crime, we do not have the same passion we have. If Nipsey was murdered by a Donald Trump supporter, a white man, it would have been crazy. But the fact that he was murdered by another African American, we just do not have that same energy about stopping the violence as we did if it was from another race or just something else.
We're desensitized.
It's very odd to me. Yeah, I really don't get that. I just honestly do not understand. It's honestly the same thing that I believe T.I. posted, but it was a Jay-Z quote about, you all let George Zimmerman go, but then, whatever, the effects of who was it that passed away also in that time? The young rapper from Florida. I forgot his name, but it's just
Triple X, like, the X dude.
Yes, Triple X. So it's just like it's the same thing. Like, why is it that other things that happen, or if it were someone of another race, we'd be outraged, but when it's still within our own community, we're not as outraged as we should be. I just don't. It doesn't make sense.
We're desensitized. We are absolutely and I know, sorry guys, because I can kind of take us on a rabbit hole with this, but this is part of what I've been kind of addressing and dealing with my own PTSD this week, is I feel as if the access that social media gives us is, of course, good and bad. I know we all can agree on that. There's some good parts to it. There's some bad parts to it. But when it comes to this topic, we are so desensitized to this violence. So it's almost like it's more normalized for us. We've heard of it before. It's been happening forever. We've seen it, but now we are literally seeing it. We're seeing the moment. We are literally seeing black men get shot on live by other black men. We're seeing fights between, people in our community. We're seeing it live, and it's desensitizing us. It's not the same feeling. It's normal to us now. Not only did we've been hearing about it all these years, now we see it. It's as simple as scrolling. You can simply scroll past 5, 6, 7 fight videos between, members of our community, and we don't feel as strongly about it as we used to anymore, and it's unfortunate.
No, so I just wanted to piggyback and just say, honestly, one thing that I do appreciate the fact that I do not watch those kind of fight videos or when they did have footage of Nipsey, like, actually going from the ground into the Gertie, I couldn't watch it. It, like, turned my stomach. I was just it was like an energy that just came over me. I was like, I cannot see this. There's something wrong as to why this is being posted, why people are seeing this. Like, it's just something that I could not handle. So I had to just log off the internet altogether and just not look at anything anymore because it's always in your face, and I don't want that to become normal to me because it is abnormal and it's not right.
Thank you, sister. You hit it right on the head. And if someone send me a fight video, they might get blocked. Like, don't send me don't send me that into my DM. I don't want that energy. Like I said, I don't even watch UFC fights no more. So I totally agree with what you're talking about. But I just want to add real quick, we're doing a Mike Brown protest, doing the Trayvon Martin, the whole rise of the Black Lives Matter. The first thing people were saying to other races were why Black Lives Matter don't matter to black people. And people was getting mad, about that. Black people was getting mad when other races would say that to us. Y'all have the highest crime in the community. Why black men kill another black man is so high, more than any other race. If the government wanted to kill our black leaders, all they have to do is use other black men to do it, kind of like this situation. Not saying that that's what happened, but because the moment we realize that it's from another black person, it doesn't have the same effect. Like, we're not outraged as much as we were before when we thought maybe it was somebody else. So that's the crazy part. And another thing I want to add real quick about this whole graphic video that's going along on Instagram and all this social media. This dude, I'm just giving me chills to even think about it. He shot Nipsey in the head.
Yep.
I would not watch that. Then I heard he came back and kicked him. And when you talk about Tupac and Biggie was not shot in the head like this. He shot. I'm almost in tears. He shot my brother in the head, point blank range. Nipsey didn't deserve that shit right there, man. Nobody deserves it, but Nipsey in front of his store on Crenshaw, his mixtape was named Crenshaw. He put his store, the Marathon, on the same street that he grew up, same neighborhood he grew up on, and this brother died in the street like a dog. When people die, good people should die in the bed with their loved ones holding their hands, and everybody say goodbye to them. This brother died by himself on the concrete with a bullet in his head. I can't even fathom. Like, it's been rough for me all week because I've talked to the brother, and it's just been a rough week for me, and I cannot believe this guy did this to Nipsey. It's like, why kill Nipsey, bro? Why? Like, why? I don't understand it.
Right. Hearing you talk about it, Joe Wayne, and hearing you get emotional and hearing you get choked up is exactly what I was talking about earlier today on my live. It's exactly the feelings that I had to address within myself, and the reality that I had to realize is, so it's not a secret, I suffer from PTSD because my brother was murdered. What I'm realizing is this hits different, like Charlamagne said. The murder, let me use the right word, the murder of Nipsey Hussle hits different with so many people, and I'm watching all week as people are struggling with these feelings. I'm hearing and seeing a lot of people express the same sentiments you have, like getting extremely upset and emotional and not really understanding where it's coming from. And what I'm starting to wonder, because if I know I feel this way because I have PTSD, I have been directly affected by this situation when it comes to my own brother, and it's very reminiscent, and I'm experiencing triggers. For you to have the same reaction that I have, and I know I'm triggered from PTSD, it makes me wonder, is being exposed to this on social media causing PTSD in people and we don't even realize it. Seeing these videos, knowing that he was shot in the head, seeing the videos of him laying on the ground. You know, now they have the video circulating of Lauren London running into the hospital. I honestly, unfortunately, clicked on the link. I should not have clicked on that link because even though I knew it wasn't going to be graphic, one, that was a personal moment that me and her have in common that I could not imagine. If me, when I ran into that hospital the night my brother was murdered, I could not imagine that being recorded and being shared. So me watching that and relating to that and knowing that I wouldn't have wanted mine shared, and I can't imagine how she feels with her being shared. Again, all of these images circulating are causing the same reactions in you guys that a person like me who does suffer from PTSD is having. So I really question, is social media and everything we're experiencing causing PTSD in people? And if so, this isn't good. But of course, because, you know, when you have PTSD, any type of mental health issues, anything, you should seek help because they can get worse. Gone undiagnosed, gone untreated, it can get worse. So if we have millions upon billions of people who have access to these videos through social media, if you guys are getting exposed to it, and unbeknownst to you, all week long, you guys are like, why am I feeling so crazy? Why am I feeling so emotional? I'm upset. I can't sleep. I can't eat. I'm really tore up. You guys are expressing and demonstrating the same emotions that a person like me is having. But I have someone that I can talk to, and, you know, I've gotten a proper diagnosis, and you guys haven't. So I'm just like, this is dangerous. It's literally the same. Like, you guys are being triggered. Part of PTSD is triggers. Certain clips, certain emotions, certain music. You know what I mean? Sometimes listening to his music can be kind of therapeutic, and then sometimes listening to his music and certain lyrics where he says, or certain video clips, like, for example, he says, if they kill me over this documentary, y'all better ride for me. Yeah. That's a trigger. Right. You know what I mean? That's a trigger. Listening to his mixtape and listening to his lyrics about, you know, potentially how he died, that's a trigger.
Yes, it is. He says in one of his songs on his last album, his most recent album, how, you know, he's this generation Tupac. Like, he said it in one of his songs. So,
exactly. So it's really bothered me all week because, again, we've lost, you know, different artists over the years. I'm a hip hop head. I love music. I love just, you know, entertainment and such. But I have yet to be this triggered. My PTSD has yet to be this set off until now. And I'm like, if I'm struggling this much and I know I have it, and to see so many other people struggling on the same level as me, and they're, you know, they've never been exposed or been told that they have PTSD, it really makes me realize that, you know, some of the images and things that we're being exposed to is really causing that, and that's not good. Like, I don't even know how else to say it. That's just not good.
So, Tabitha, I was considering going to L.A. You know, it's not that far from Vegas, and I was considering going there for the funeral. But to make matters worse, when they had the visual, you know, 19 people trampled over, you know, 6 people stabbed. It's like, what's wrong with us? Like, what's wrong with us? When we can't even have a visual for this brother without violence? Like, he wouldn't have wanted that.
No.
Oh, man. And we always have this. One thing about our podcast that I love, Antoinette and Tabitha, that we always talk about black issues. And I promise you, our last 3 or 4 podcasts, we've been talking about issues in the black community. But if you look at Detroit, you look at Chicago, you look at South Central, you look at Atlanta, you look at D.C., Las Vegas, we have serious issues in the black community that no one can solve but us. And like Antoinette said, it starts with us putting that input of that violence in our system through UFC, through music, through video games, through movies, everything. We have to, and I like the cleanse idea. It's like they both go hand in hand. The cleanse idea and just start watching the negativity and putting it in our systems. I think that would be a great start, but people ain't going to do it.
Right. Not everybody. I mean, 2 is better than none, though. You know what I mean? So it's definitely a message that I wanted to make sure I brought up. And again, I believe it's Paisley's Tasties. I can definitely follow it up when we post this link. I can include her Instagram handle in it, and the hashtag Nipsey Hussle. But I think even if we have 2 people who participate in it, that's definitely a move in the right direction.
Right. Well, maybe I should put it like this. the people who need to do it probably ain't gonna do it because I'm already doing it. Like I already don't put that stuff in my system.
Me too.
But the people who need to do it, the people who need to do it probably ain't gonna do it.
I was looking on Instagram earlier, and for those of you who know who James Jones is from Dipset, he posted a throwback video of how when the store opened, when TMC opened, he was out in LA. He reached out to Nipsey. Nipsey was like, pull through. He was like, no, no disrespect. I'm not really right to pull through. And he was like, no, like regardless, pull up. Nipsey had someone meet Jim Jones's car like a block away to have him escorted over safely to the store. You know what I mean? So I personally don't feel like right now is the right time to go to the area, to go to his store, to kind of just roll up on his block. I feel like temperament is high, emotions are high. I would, because it's something that is kind of on my bucket list too. Like I'm so hit by this. I eventually want to do it. For those of you that know me, everybody knows I always say LA is my happy place, Santa Monica, all that. I feel very connected to LA, so this is definitely something I want to do and experience, but it's not something I'm going to do right now. It's again another trigger. Anytime violence like this happens after my brother's murder, I was sent away, so and my family unfortunately have a background with this, so I understand when things initially happen, you don't go towards it. I already know that, you know what I mean? I got sent away for months after my brother was murdered, so I know even in this situation, our initial reaction is to we want to be involved, we want to be in the area, because I know the vibe is high, you know what I mean? All the videos we've seen, you can't even ride within 4 blocks the last couple of days without hearing his music, and there's people out all hours of the night, so I know the vibe is amazing, but it's very dangerous right now to be anywhere near TMC. So I would just suggest for everybody, if you're not from that area, lay low. Like,
I'm
definitely don't go there right now.
I'm really sorry to hear about the loss of your brother. That's
Thank you. Yeah, it's like I said, the PTSD, the triggers, they're real. They're real this week. Gun violence is unfortunately something that our community is so desensitized to, so used to, and it's generational. I said on my live earlier, my mom's brother was murdered, and she she went through her emotions. She dealt with it how she was going to deal with it, but she had to pick up, and the family had to kind of move on with their lives. It's just the culture. So when it happened for me and my brother, it was the same thing. They didn't immediately send me to counseling. They didn't think PTSD. It was kind of like, this is the culture that we live in. It happens. I love you. I'm sorry that you lost your brother. I lost my brother too. And, if you need to cry about it, but life goes on. So it wasn't until 2 years later that they kind of looked up like, she's not okay. She's still not okay. And that's when I finally decided to seek counseling.
That's really important.
It's unfortunate.
I'm glad you said that, though.
Yeah.
Because counseling in our community, that's something that is very taboo and something that I don't feel that it's talked about. I mean, I think now you hear more conversations about therapy and that, trying to encourage people to do that. But honestly, to see the images that we see on social media constantly, I mean, you can't go on social media without seeing any images of Nipsey Hussle and what's going on. So you're constantly reminded of what just happened, and you're brought back to, those images of, the scene, his family, his life, his this. And it's just like all these emotions come back. And if you have experienced things like Tabitha has, and she's saying it's PTSD, therapy is a wonderful route to go to. Just having someone to talk to vent to get your emotions out, or someone else just to hear your inner thoughts is really important. So I highly encourage people to seek therapy. I am an advocate of therapy for sure, and there's no shame in that at all. And I just wish that our community would kind of normalize therapy and speaking with someone, because we really don't.
Right.
Yes. As most people in the black community say, church is our therapy. That's the first thing they say. But I agree.
You can't pray everything away. I'm just going to be honest. And I know that statement is going to be hard for a lot of people to hear. I've been praying for 17 years. You know what I mean? I'm positive Lauren London has been praying to God to make her understand, or make the hurt stop, or bring him back for the last 4 or 5 days.
I'm sure
that doesn't always work. That doesn't always work. There's got to be some follow-up. There's got to be some counseling, because there are certain techniques that can and should be done when you're dealing with stuff like this, that, you just got to talk to somebody. And I'm an advocate for talking to God. I talk to God nonstop, but it's also some techniques and some things you need to implement to kind of help you get through it.
Yes.
And I really want to be honest for a second, just really quick, because I am not familiar with Nipsey Hussle's music. I honestly and I'm pretty sure other people are like this too, I only know him from Lauren London. I'm very aware of her, and I'm aware she's an actress, so I've been following her career. So when she did get with him, it kind of brought him to the forefront for me. And so when I heard about him being shot, my heart instantly went out to her, because I know they have a child together, and I knew they were in love, and that was the love of her life, and or someone she was with, So my heart immediately went out to her and his children with this loss, because I couldn't imagine, and me and Nipsey are close in age, and so I can't imagine going through, or what she is experiencing right now as a woman, losing someone that you love, and just going through those whole emotions. And not only that, having the whole world either have these conspiracies and or thoughts and opinions about every single thing and every step of the way, and she's constantly reminded of that. So I'm just hoping that she has a strong circle around her and family, and that his family is doing well. And I send my condolences to everyone.
Right. Yes. And Nipsey has a song with Kendrick Lamar on his latest album. So I'm gonna send that to you. I'm gonna text it to you, the link. You can check it out. It's a really nice song. And it's kind of like a Black Power type song. But Nipsey, like I said, I've been listening to Nipsey since day one. When he did this track with Kendrick, Antoinette, he stepped his bar up. Because let me tell you about rappers. Rappers know other lyrical rappers, and they know, when you're doing a song with a mumble rapper, you can say certain things. But when you in the booth with Kendrick, you better come with it. And let me tell you, let me tell you, my brother Nipsey came with it. I'm talking about first Nipsey did his verse, then Kendrick did the middle verse, and then Nipsey killed the last verse. I mean, he tore the last verse up. So they went bar for bar. So it's a really nice track. I'm gonna send it to you. It's on the latest album, The Victory Lap.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I have to hear that. I'm sure I love it. Yeah, I love that.
Anybody who's learned anything about Nipsey, even if you didn't know him before this week, if you haven't learned anything else in this week, I know that you learned he had answers, and he was proving it. It wasn't just a question with him. He was showing you what his plan was for his community, what his plan was for our community as a whole. He had the answers. He was working his way up, and it was an amazing sight to see, for anyone who was kind of there earlier time in the journey. I feel like we're all at 3 different phases with it. I feel like, Delwayne, you were definitely there for the beginning. Me, a couple of years ago when I fell in love with LA, and then, Antoinette, like you said, you kind of learned of him when he got with Lauren London, like so many people did. But I think we all can agree that he definitely showed answers. It wasn't just questions with him.
That's right. Mm-hmm. You are so right, and it keep bringing me back to our previous podcast, because we had discussions, especially with your Curls Love and Life. We had discussions about black men and the way that we look, and we also had discussions about how many rappers have college degrees. This brother is so intelligent. He was so intelligent. It's just ridiculous. But the average person looking at him from the beard to the jewelry to the tattoos on the face wouldn't be able to tell that this brother is an intellectual. And a lot of them like that. Like Nick Cannon said he's going to pick up that documentary, that Dr. Sebi documentary. And Nick Cannon is another brother that's extremely intelligent. We have extremely intelligent brothers. One last thing I wanted to add also, all last week I was studying up on Left Eye. I don't know if I ever mentioned this to you ladies, but I went to Left Eye's funeral. It was at New Birth Church in Latonia, Georgia. And I went to her funeral. It was very touching. I really love Left Eye. I interviewed Left Eye mom. I interviewed her brother. we did a anniversary birthday party for her after she passed away, and her mom is just the sweetest person. Her brother's keeping Left Eye legacy alive. But I did not know until now that Left Eye was also meeting with Dr. Sebi. Like, she was under his teaching and learning how to eat better, and she was on her spiritual journey. And I'm seeing a lot of pictures now, and I'm seeing a lot of pictures, Antoinette and Tabitha, with Nipsey with his third eye. I don't know if y'all seen that artwork, but he got his third eye. And I watched the video where he talked about how you could focus your energy on specific things, and how all you have to do is manifest it in your mind first. Like the same spiritual journey that I'm on, the same spiritual journey Left Eye was on. I just
I did know about the Left Eye. Yeah, I did know about Left Eye because of the documentary that she was filming with MTV up until the moment that she passed. They literally have the moment she passed on film. And
PTSD again, because I remember seeing the van and the camera drop and roll, and you hear the crash, and I'll never forget that.
Her look into the camera right before.
Oh my God!
Yes, I will never forget that.
I can't forget that look. I cannot forget that look. Because right before she passed away, she had accidentally hit a little kid, and the little kid died. That took so much out of Left Eye. But Dr. Sebi, am I pronouncing his name right, Dr. Sebi?
I believe so.
Well, that's how I've been pronouncing it.
I've been learning so much about him because Sebi. I'm embarrassed to say, but I didn't know a lot about Dr. Sebi until now. Like, I'm learning more and more about him, and now, and now I want to learn about his recipes and his therapy. Like, I want to learn everything about him now. So that's where I'm at.
Everything he focuses on is like mucus in the body. If you can keep the mucus in the body healthy, because it travels to the lymphatic system, like, that's the beginning of all diseases.
And Joanne, you're on a path, because I believe he's into very much so plant-based diet and cutting out, any meat and byproducts and things like that. So you're there. You just need to know who he is. Because I honestly, I'm not aware of him at all. But there's something from the Howard University. It's called the Newman Rockman Show, and this is a television show or series on YouTube. You can go watch it. And he actually interviewed him about a few months, maybe. I don't know when the interview took place, but I just watched it recently, probably like a month ago. So you can definitely check that out and get more information about Dr. C. Yes, I'll send it to you guys actually.
Please.
And when you post the show, I'll send when you swipe on my page, I'll have a screenshot of the Newman Rockman Show and where you can find it at. But definitely, because with the interview, so you guys can check that out.
Absolutely. Okay. All right. Anybody got anything to add? I know it's kind of sad. It's a sad podcast, but
it was. But I hope it was I hope this situation was the catalyst that we needed. You know what I mean? It definitely was something that I needed. As unfortunate and frustrating as triggers can be and PTSD can be, I think it was important for me to kind of connect the feelings that I was having, and maybe maybe admitting it and announcing it and being open about it will help other people, because again, I've seen so many people this week really struggling and not understanding, like, damn, I've never met this man in real life, why am I struggling? And everybody kind of on one accord saying, this hits different, this feels different. And I think, just letting you guys know that social media it's definitely, causing some triggers in a lot of people, and that it's no issue with seeking help. And even with something that you seem so disconnected from, I still think it's important to kind of seek help with this, because outside of just Nipsey and gun violence and the PTSD that, you're potentially getting, it's also, how you feel about just another black man being gunned down and another black man doing such positive things being taken from our culture and our community, and just, our feelings and thoughts about that. And I feel like in our community, a lot of times we feel a lot of anger because it happens and we don't know what to do next, and we don't know how to continue or how to fulfill his legacy. So I think tonight we talked about, just a couple of things, whether it's Dr. Sebi, whether it's, having your own spiritual journey, or, fasting, or different things you can do in your community, all the way down to just loving each other and loving your spouse. Again, just sending all my love and light to Lauren London. I can't imagine. You know, I sympathize, I empathize. I've been exposed to it. My brother's girlfriend at the time actually witnessed his murder. So I know what it looks like. You know what I mean? I know what it looks like. But so if you're struggling, I've seen a lot of women, because just seeing that black love, seeing the way, and it's not funny, but so many memes about he was the epitome of the hood love that you wanted. You wanted that protector. You wanted that strong guy that was respected in the street, but he was able to almost melt for his woman. That, you know, was something that kind of reacted or got a reaction out of a lot of women this week. So if that created some type of desire or feeling in you, reach out about that. Reach out about the loss of love or the emptiness and love and companionship that you feel. Again, I think the murder of Nipsey has triggered so much, but I hope this podcast lets you guys know you're not alone. It's not crazy. You're not crazy. There's a reason behind this. Like Charlamagne the God said, this shit hit different. It hit us different, and I hope we see the positive effects of how this hit us moving forward.
Yes. And just to let the listeners know as well, Tabitha, we will follow up on this, the whole case. They caught the guy yesterday. They put him in solitary confinement. Like he can't be around any public. The police, the LAPD, said that they had to hurry up and get this brother off the street, not because I don't call brother's animal off the street, not because they wanted to arrest him that bad. It's because people was trying to kill him. I heard they were assaulting his family. Like it was crazy.
Yeah.
Like it was crazy.
Yeah. That's part of the culture. And I'm honest to God, I'm so surprised the LAPD got him. And like Charlamagne the God kept saying, if you're still alive, Eric Holder, because if you are familiar with the street culture and just the way things go, I never expected them to get him alive, ever. I was 100% sure the streets had him first. So I don't. Yeah.
And the fact that his name is Eric Holder,
or what?
The fact that his name is Eric Holder after Obama's Attorney General is just crazy, right? Well,
right.
And we got the funeral coming up. So that's going to be another. You was talking about the
trigger.
The triggers. That's going to be another trigger. Just people watching this funeral, and I'm pretty sure they're going to have like a public viewing and all that. And So he wouldn't have had it any other way. It's probably going, whatever the horse it carries, probably going to go down Crenshaw, and it's going to be a real sad scene.
Oh yeah. I'm not ready for it. I am not ready for it. I don't know if I'm going to be able to watch it live or watch clips. I did not watch, like, for example, Whitney Houston live. I had to watch it after the fact because of Bobby Christina and the triggers with that. Like, the thought of losing a parent, and that was just different for me. So
the most recently one I watched, Tabitha, was the Aretha Franklin, and you forgot you was watching the funeral when you watched Aretha Franklin, because they did it big for her. She had the
and I'll be honest, you know them stacks we be talking about. I'll be so honest. So Aretha Franklin's video, her funeral was the same day as the On the Run 2 tour in Miami. So I caught bits and pieces of it while I was getting dressed to see Jay-Z and Beyonce. So, but I do remember it was a production. I remember Ariana Grande being in a short skirt. I remember those parts. But
just her whole arrival, like they had like the pink Cadillacs, long lines.
Oh yeah,
like go down.
Cadillacs, like lines of them. That was crazy.
Yeah.
Right. So I know his will be amazing.
It'd definitely be amazing. But I think that's the thing, though. I think it's going to be more because his life was cut so short. Like, Aretha Franklin, she was like 70-something, so she kind of lived a little bit, but 33. And then one of my followers, my brother, he sent me this thing, and he said, he showed me all the 333s that surrounded Nipsey. Like, the date was like March 31st, that was 33.
It was.
He was shot 6 times, 33, and his age was 33. He just gave me this whole list of things that added up to like 33 or 6. And I was like, whoa. I said, this is just kind of off subject.
Right. No, I understand. I think one of the things I wanted to mention too with him being so young is I don't want this to deter our black men from just moving forward. just moving forward. I don't want us to get in the rut of thinking, you know, there's no point. You know, I can try my hardest, but, you know, things are being taken from us so young. We need to make Nipsey the exception to the rule. Like, I just think this should just make us work harder and not be afraid, because I see this making people afraid. Again, Charlamagne the God made a comment of, basically, what's the point? What's the point? If they would take a guy like Nipsey, who was doing all the right things, why wouldn't, you know, something like this happen? If we believe in karma or whatever the case may be, if the universe thought that this is what his path should have been, then there's no hope for the rest of us. And I just really don't want us to get that mentality. I want us to push forward.
Ooh, that's a sad way to. I can't even think about it. Yeah, I can't even think about it.
Right. Wow. But it makes you afraid. It's the whole the good die young principle. Like, if somebody like that, who was literally doing nothing but putting out positivity, look at all his videos, anything that you've seen this week has been positivity. And if the universe could take somebody like that, who was making such a difference in a part of the world that needed it the most, it just makes you it unfortunately puts this sense of fear in your heart.
Yes.
So I just want us to push past that as much as possible.
Yes. And I want to challenge everyone, all our listeners, and even us cast members here on this podcast. Let's eliminate, like SNS said, let's eliminate the negativity. Even if it's for a month, like, just try it. Like I'm a big boxing fan. I have not watched boxing just because of the violence. Like, I'm just totally getting negativity or anything violent out of my life, and I stopped listening to hip hop. So I would definitely challenge people. Even if it's just for a cleansing, because we live in a society where it's almost impossible to get away from negativity and violence. But if you can do it, if you can challenge yourself to do it, try it for a month, and then maybe you could try for 2 months, and then 6 months. But I definitely think that's a great idea for the Black community.
Oh, update! It is Paisley Tasties. That's PAISLEESTASTEES. Again, I'll tag this when we post the link. But they are having the hashtag Nipsey Challenge from 4/7 to 4/14. Fasting will include the consumption of fruits, vegetables, herbs, water, smoothies, and teas only.
I like that.
Yeah, so I think that just goes along with everything we've said as far as channeling this energy. What's the best way to kind of clear out our mind, kind of get our bodies, our auras back in line? I definitely